We'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which this project is created, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. We would also like to pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Settle down and gather round for another tale. In the world of Nua, where time has carved and cultivated a magical utopia of wonder, a small group of adventurers unlock the deep mysteries of the land, its people, and themselves. Welcome to the Down Under Dungeon podcast. Record entry number 382, 22nd day of winter. Mother Yellen, High Priestess to the Lady of Rain, Jarl of Lal Udrud. It has been several weeks of my rule. The election was handily won, the people of the city were with me, and with you, my lady. The commandant pushed and pleaded her Jarl's claim. Such a pathetic display, what with Sigurd fleeing the city like flies before a storm. The least I could do was offer her a quick death at the hand of the Blood Raven, but her contraption of destruction and death may yet grant her a lasting legacy. The rains have come again and again, my lady, just as you had promised. Through me, a vessel of your power, we are terraforming the city before people's eyes. Even the druids, those who dare to presume the land is within their succor, have marveled in your might, helpless to explain through the heresies of fire and stone. In time, the people will see them for their falsities. Alas, there is a nagging in the back of my mind, my lady. While the Wellspringers are scourged from the hold, enemies of the Jarl and the city, memories fade quickly. I must do everything in my might not to have them supplanted from beneath my feet, as I did from Sigurd. Your guidance has not led me astray, dear lady, and so I will persist here, biding time and strength. But there are others now that walk your righteous path, and so I will send them to ensure the Wellspringers never return to this place. Their deeds here will wash away into obscurity, and we will ensure the dawning of a new age. Forever your servant, Yellen.
Cries, screams, throws up.
Anyway, welcome back, everyone. We've missed you, not really, but only because we didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, it's been a short period of time.
We don't leave this room.
No,
We live here.
and we have
Well, two of you literally do live here,
Yes,
so...
exactly.
yeah. And we let one get away, but they have been replaced. So I hope you all welcome me in welcoming our newest member to the cast for the second arc of our story. Oscar, welcome to the podcast.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hello there.
Hi, everybody.
Mr. Oz.
There we go. Tapping into my teacher roots.
Now, of course, we will introduce you and everyone else to Oscar's character in due course, but that's not how we're going to set today's session up. We're going to do a little time jump today and spend some individual time with all of our characters after their escapades in Lal Udrud, catching up with them and seeing whether they can answer some questions that they have had in the last 20 or so episodes.
Just a few questions in that.
Just a few. I've been sufficiently tricksy, so today we need to start peeling the peeling the banana on that one. So, without further ado, we are going to begin with our dearest elderly resident of the Wellspringers.
That's Feng.
Yeah, Feng, obviously.
A lot has transpired since the Wellspringers fled Lal Udrud. Committed to let the heat on their name die down, each has taken to the wilds of Nua in search of some semblance of closure after the disaster at the bottom of the Udrud Gorge. Over the next 3 months, each will pursue answers to questions gleaned from the frontier, before meeting at the Great Spire of Feldspar to regroup and plan their next steps.
In true Wellspringer style, we split up again,
Yeah,
of course.
Will we ever manage to stick together for more than 5 minutes?
Yeah,
Hopefully after this.
Maybe.
that's it.
This is just,
This
it's
is
all,
the
our
last time.
part, it's all our part-time in one.
Yeah.
Our first insight into our band of heroes is gleamed in the waning hours of the autumnal evening, 30 or so miles north from the agrarian capital of Hermitage, at the dwindling tail of the vast Spine mountain range. To the east, the wavering light bathes the mountains to Louis's right in a brilliant orange. The rays dance through the leaves and litter the ground among the wood to her left. Beyond, great grassed plains and fields lope endlessly to the south, here and there the occasional glint from the Sea of Tear. Louis sits astride a bedraggled donkey, senior like her, but stout and much strength left to give. The beast is being led on the path by Sigurd Scruff, now a listless man lost in the world. The road has not been kind to the half-orc, and so much has in his appearance changed, you no longer worry for being recognised in the sparsely dotted inns across the road. Soon, the path begins to widen and flatten as the mountains disappear behind you and more smaller tracks begin to converge to the main road, mostly used by farmers to carry their harvests to the city. While no carts are making deliveries now in the twilight, you do see some coming towards you from the road leading out of the city. Many have hoisted lanterns high on sticks, swaying gently with the rhythms of the road, some filled with arcane lights, others with mayflies and brilliant lichens. As you pass through the procession of drunken shouts, jeers and laughter, make a perception check for me.
I absolutely will. Perception. Ha! That's a great start. Wonderful.
Oh,
That's a 7 in total.
Nice, really good start.
Oh, yeah.
Starting off strong.
Great omen.
Louis, with a 7, you begin to be inundated with these crowds leaving from the city, and as the road begins to dip beneath you, you still manage to see over the bluff this glow and light emanating from which you expect to be Hermitage itself. And soon enough, you begin to see the city as a whole, sprawling like a massive spider's web eking out over the plains. The city is alive, like a massive colony of tiny, bright insects. Off to the southwest, the web extends right to the shore of the vast lake of the Sea of Tear. High above the water, tethered like an array of marvellous balloons, you see multiple airships, their intricate hulls, arcane engines, and multicoloured sails idling and observing the city below. As you begin to remember and point out these districts to Sigurd, the Stone District, the Street of Sorcerers, the Mummers Square, the city becomes closer and closer, and you start to see the old Jarl feigns a smile as you head towards a towered curtain wall protecting the main entrance to this metropolis. The black iron gates have been lifted, and 2 stout guards maintain a watchful eye on the merrymakers wandering through the gate. The old Jarl turns to you, Louis, feigning his smile, and says, "What now?"
Well, first we go home. We get some food, we get some rest in a proper bed with some good company, some clean water. We're just gonna take a second and get re-established. We'll work on the future tomorrow. For tonight, let's just rest.
You see Sigurd responds in a way that you become very familiar on the road, where you can tell that he's listening, but it's almost as if his eyes are looking past you, and he nods. You urge your donkey down the second side street, traversing the narrow path back to the commons that you could walk in your sleep. Tapping back into the energy of Hermitage, you see a city at ease, humming and vibrant, developing, growing. You cast your mind back to the mess that you left in Lullaby, and a pang of regret snaps you to reality. The commons rest inside an old access chamber to maintain the aquifers and aqueducts channeling water from the Sea of Tear to the city. Built a century ago by ancient men and dwarves of the tablelands, the architecture has not wanted for repair or replacement, and so the debris and unwanted people of Hermitage congregates in the vaulted nexus to make their new home, diverting the water where needed to create space. Louis dismounts from a charge, taking a light, and leads Sigurd down a narrow staircase into a channel, squeezing between the bars of an enormous inlet pipe. Give me a survival check, Louis.
Okay.
Because you're leading Sigurd here. He can give you the help action.
I was gonna say, do I get advantage because this is home? It's an 11.
11. After a while, you do begin to follow your nose and begin to pick up the smell of cooking, and you appear at the nexus of the commons, just as alive as the city above. Several small fires and braziers dapple the space in long shadows, casting furls of smoke, smelling of grilled meats. Children run from place to place, shrieking with toys and tumbling into one another. All around the exterior, different pipes and passageways have been retrofitted into tiny domiciles, like a great misshapen honeycomb clinging to the walls. As you descend into this common area, a few curious stares and gasps seem to follow you and Sigurd. Make a perception check for me.
Absolutely. Come on. Oh, there we go. That's an 18. So with a +5, that is 23.
Very nice.
You clock this immediately. Striding towards you is the familiar face of Angela, the sandy yellow satyr you left in charge as the leader of the commons.
Mm-hmm.
Since you left, she has grown considerably, now sporting a scar across her left cheek, dressed in leathers, and sports intricate face paint. She looks at you, Louis, and at Sigurd and says, "You're here, you're back. Who's this?"
Hi, darling. Yeah, we've come back. Brought a friend of mine who needs our special brand of hospitality.
You see Angela looks to the Jarl and kind of narrows her eyes for a moment and says, "Is this another one that you've caught on the road, or?"
He's one of ours. Sigurd Scruff.
You see at the sound of that name, a few whispers go around the crowd, and Sigurd tries to almost feign a sense of dignity and stand up a little bit straighter.
I'm gonna put my hand on his shoulder and give him a bardic inspiration.
Leave, why not? Let's go do a performance check.
Come on, kiddo.
A 15, very good. 15 on the dice. He's obviously a swords bard, so he definitely, you see a shred of self-respect in him now, and I feel like maybe that's because it's a place of comfort for him.
Yeah.
You see Angela says, "Yeah, I remember that name. He was one of ours from, a while ago."
Little while, he scampered off, we kind of lost track, and made an absolute name for himself out in the world. He's been doing incredible, wonderful, amazing things, and I wanted to give him the chance to do that here as well.
You see her eyes narrow for a minute, and Angela says,
Honey, I'm not going to take anything from you. You've been doing incredibly. It's not your job I'm trying to take.
You see she looks at you and says, "Well, if he's doing such magnificent things out there, why did you bring him down here?"
I think as she asked this question, Louis is just going to kind of put a hand on her shoulder and just take her off to the side for a second. Just so Sigurd doesn't hear me say this in a very public place. And she'll just turn to her and say, "He's had it rough recently. He's been ousted from the position of the city that he was in unfairly and without any dignity. He's had a lot taken from him. Of everything he built by himself, brick by brick, has been taken out in a second. He just needs a space to find his feet again. Have some family, have some people who support him, and I believe he can do amazing things for this place."
Make a persuasion check for me.
Mm-hmm. 12 plus 6 is a dirty 20.
18.
Oh, sorry, 18. I said I'm gay and I can't do maths.
It's a dirty 18.
Dirty 18.
Dirty 18.
Dirty 18, sorry.
Which is pretending to be 20, which is why it's a dirty 18.
Yes. Sorry,
Very
again.
dirty.
You see, with that 18, Angela looks at you and says, "Well, Louis, we don't turn anyone away. Like, that's not fine. That's fine. We can do that. What are you doing here? You telling me you walked the entire continent just to bring back this one orc?"
I got a lot more questions than answers when I went out there. A lot of things that I didn't expect, and hopefully the answers to some of those lie here.
You see Angela furrows her brow for a moment, and actually she's going to make a history check.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. You see Angela furrows her brow and thinks for a moment, says, Well, Louis, we all came to you for wisdom, so I'm not really sure if I can be of any help to you. I mean, the only thing older in this city than you is Nonina, the elder of the Anointed Circle. And you can make a history check with advantage
I
for
would
me.
love to.
What a cute name.
That's such a good
It's
name.
such a good name. History check with advantage is a 16.
With the 16, you are definitely familiar with Nonina. They are the leader of the Anointed Circle, which is a druid circle in Hermitage, one of the only native druid circles in Hermitage. It is said that that circle was pretty much responsible for the creation of the city in the first place. So it's very, very old.
Yeah.
You do know that druids require special offerings to grant an audience with Nonina, but her wisdom is vast. The elite of Hermitage often purchase audiences with Nonina as opulent engagement gifts or for expectant children. So, after a few weeks in the Commons, helping Scruff to set up his allotted inlet as best as you can, you set up hand-me-downs from the other residents. Scruff refuses any of your gold to buy new things. You resolve to visit the glade in the Central Park district of Hermitage. You emerge from the Commons in the early morning, traversing the familiar wide promenades bedecked with vendors preparing for their daily trade. You see that there is a light mist hanging between these great rainbow eucalypts that line the causeway, and small birds of brilliant colours and plumes begin to stir in their daybreak symphony. Heading towards the centre of the city, you pass low marble walls into the circular park. Designed to be a haven from the hustle and bustle, the space is lined with long poplar, elm and willow trees, as well as other varieties from across Nua. Small water mephits swirl around their trunks in the morning, dousing their bases in water before flitting off in the branches. A city gardener can be seen absent-mindedly pruning a shrubbery of white fairy roses, while his apprentice collects refuse and weeds the manicured beds. As the sun peaks over the horizon, you approach the cloistered grotto, the spiritual heart of Hermitage, an ancient domed building carved from white marble, with every edifice, corner and keystone bedecked in gilded depictions of the birth of the city. The first men appearing from the water, the nurturing of the olive groves, the boom in agriculture, the union of many peoples. Outside the grotto, you see two druids of the Anointed Circle, sitting cross-legged before the entrance in meditation. What do you do?
Would I feel it is right to wake these people from their meditation, or...
You would know that these druids are here guarding access to the grotto, and they are the people who you would usually have to give
the gifts to. Okay, alright. So Louis doesn't have a lot of money or things, so can I make a perception check to see how deep in their meditation they are?
insight check for me.
Insight check? Absolutely. Oh yeah, it's a 13.
You've watched Feng meditate a lot, so you do get the sense that this is much more of a boho druid meditation. Like, they're not sitting out with nature, they're in the public park.
Yeah.
But it does seem to you like they are meditating, they are fulfilling their role at least.
No problems. Approaching the dome, Louis has two thoughts. You gotta have a plan and a backup plan. So, her first course of action is to cast suggestion on both of them to let her pass. And if that doesn't work, then she sections out a couple tiny pinches of the europium from the box that Quig gave her into two little pouches as potential offers if something goes wrong.
Crazy.
Oh my god.
You know it's going to be good when the DM starts making that face.
Let's go for it. I say you have weeks to prepare for this, so it's not like you're doing this on the fly. So if that's what you had decided to do, go for it.
Okay.
So, suggestion, you casting that spell on them?
I am. They have to make a wisdom saving throw.
And how are you casting this spell?
I think seeing they're meditating in this kind of trendy park way, she's going to just pull out her little flute and almost start playing just a very soft, almost like lo-fi meditation music that you hear in like a nail salon. Just kind of blend it into the birds chirping and the rhythm of the park as it just kind of like lo-fi blends into their meditative trances.
Wisdom save.
Yes.
What is your DC?
It is a 16.
16. They have a +2. They rolled a 14 and a 15.
Oh.
12 and a 13 on the dice.
Oh, so they both failed.
They
They
both
both
failed.
failed.
Sick.
Oh, we thought you were saying they rolled up before. Hooray!
Sick.
Beautiful. So my suggestion is, let me pass through.
As you cast the spell, you almost deepen their meditation and deepen the meditative state, and you are just able to walk past them completely unmolested.
That's wild.
Sorry.
That is a word. Give me another perception check as you enter the grotto.
Okay, all of my dice have been slightly mean. That's slightly better. That's a 11 plus 5, so a 16.
Inside, you descend the steps into a large, sunken cavern, the sound of running water reverberating from stone. Above, a single beam of brilliant morning sunlight illuminates the central space, a large boulder from which gnarled roots of a vast olive tree cling. The trunk is so vast that one would have to walk around it to appreciate the size and aged texture of the bark. Several gnarled limbs twist and contort into the ends of dead wood, while others still sport great plumes of dense green leaves. The ancient olive tree is fed by 2 small streams, following the carved paths into the stone and wreathing the boulder in its nourishing embrace. As you get closer, you just begin to make out the small budding olives on the tree when a disembodied ephemeral voice calls out, "Oh my, you look somewhat out of place here, dear. Have you wandered off? Are you lost?"
More seeking an audience?
You respond to the voice, and a chuckle reverberates around the chamber.
I think Louis kind of like, as she answers, glances around the room to see if she can see who is speaking or where they're speaking from.
You see, as you get closer, the great olive tree begins to contort and twist towards you as this ancient tree ant looks down at you and beholds you. "Well, hello, young child. It's nice that the people of the city still remember me. It seems I'm a relic now, and the city needs me not."
Oh, honey, I know how you feel.
My dear, look, I don't want to make any, comparisons, but I was here before the moons danced together in the sky, before the wood elves crawled forth and whispered their secrets, before the stars and moon banished the darkness from the land, and before the great shadow fell on the east. I am the essence of this city, and therefore I am you. Speak, and let me grant you my wisdom. You see she gestures with her long limbs to sit beneath the tree.
Louis moves up, kind of lifting her skirts to climb over the roots and settles in a little divot that looks like it's almost made perfectly for her. And as she looks up into the massive branches and is centered on the feeling of home that is here, she talks almost like a young girl looking to her mother for guidance as she says, "I know it's just a mortal issue. Well, I should be mortal. I should not be in this plane anymore. I should be dead. And yet, I continue to move and live and talk and cast magic, and my heart doesn't beat. And I don't change."
You see there is no response from the lady Nanina. And after a time, you just sit there in contemplation of your own question and begin to listen to the breeze as it passes gently through the leaves. And in this moment of recognizing who Nanina is and how old she is, you start to hear whispers in the rustles, almost of those long gone, and eventually, despite yourself, you fall off into an uneasy sleep. You see light. First 1, then 10, and then 1,000 dots of light. And just when you think that they might be stars, you see that they are moving listlessly, circling each other, bumping into each other. In yourself, you know that these are souls. But not your soul. You see these souls trapped in purgatory. Somehow, the nature of your being as a creation bard and the magic you wield and the stories you tell, your soul is willing your body to go on in an effort to right this wrong. Your life, essentially, your joyous and happy life, is essentially fighting to be put to rest properly. And you can't put a finger on it, but something is preventing the souls of Nua from passing on.
Holy shit.
Oh my god.
And just as you get that realization, you feel the presence of your lost love. All right, let's move on to Feng.
Oh my god!
What do you mean? No, go back. Stop
Brutal,
it.
man.
Fuck. No.
Oh my god.
Feng, you started south from the end of Sidewinder Canyon. After deactivating the moon gate and reuniting with your beloved Cecilia,
Yeah.
Oh.
How's she doing?
you head south to the small fishing town of Ofnir. After a few days, the desolation of the plains of peril begins to give way to grasslands, dotted with shrubberies of saltbush and rosemary, and before long you begin to smell the salt on the air and hear the booming thunder in the night from the vicious storms that plague the shimmering sea.
That sounds awful.
You awake in the morning to the sound of gulls shrieking in the morning zephyr before plodding your way into town.
Permy, go shut those gulls up.
Screeching and howling as this flamed phoenix takes the sky after these birds. A smaller trading port carrying goods to and from Lullaby to the northern realm, you arrive in Ofnir with its long weatherboard huts built against great earthen mounds to buffer the raging sea winds. After asking around for best passages south, you realise the need to come up with a sizable sum of money. What does Feng do?
So am I bartering for like a charter ship over towards Feldspar?
Yes, so south, whichever place you can get. You've got to understand the Shimmering Sea is very deadly and dangerous.
Okay.
So there is a lot of overhead costs on any voyage that doesn't use airships. Airships avoid a lot of the monsters and the sea.
Yeah.
So chartering a normal ship is a very expensive operation.
What's the vibe of this person that I'm bartering with that's this ship that could potentially take...
A luck check.
Okay. 14.
14. Feng's never been on water before. True.
Oh shit, no he hasn't.
So, in terms of what Feng thinks the captain looks like, you find one Captain Umbra. You see that they are this fox knoll, but black, unlike the old Professor Caressa, and they seem way more than willing to take your gold on board their ship called the Hitherto.
Hitherto. Sick. How much gold would it be to get charter?
With that luck check, you're on a 14.
Yes.
It will cost you around 100 gold.
Excuse me, Captain Umbra. Feng will walk up sheepishly and just say, you know, that's a pretty steep price, and I heard all along these docks that you're the best captain, but I also heard that you really like magical items, and I was wondering if maybe I could pay my way with 2 of these magic beans.
You see...
Feng's got beans to spill now.
I've got beans to spill. You see Captain Umbra, as you're talking, is like, you can see like drooling, salivating, because they know they're going to rinse you for everything you've got.
Great.
Make a persuasion check with disadvantage.
Shit.
If you want to pay with... Unless you try and sell these beans.
Yeah, Feng makes up an elaborate story and he's just like, these beans are some of the most powerful magical objects. You could gain the most powerful sword, or you could even gain a new ship from it that's brand new and has like turbo engines that will take you across the water even faster, you know?
Right, but it might not.
Yeah, but it might. That's what you're bartering for. Otherwise, we could play a game of liar's dice. I'm really good at it.
I'm going to say you can either make a flat persuasion check,
Yeah.
or you can make a contested intelligence check with Captain Umbra to try and outwit him in Liar's Dice.
Yeah, let's go contested intelligence, because Feng's got a -1 intelligence.
Captain Umbra also has a -1. So let's roll in front of the table.
A fair fight.
Nat 20!
Captain Umbra rolled a 9.
Oh, God!
You see, after hours of these two swindlers not knowing that the other person is actually swindling them, Feng, I need you to roll a d20 for me.
An 11.
Somehow, not only did you swindle this captain out of passage for you and Cecilia south, you also get 21 gold from him.
Just these two idiots. Just no intelligence. Accidentally outwitting each other.
These beans have paid for so much.
Yes. These beans are in bed.
So you're still offering the beans?
I may as well give him 2 beans.
2 beans, remove them from your inventory. Well done. You do book passage on the Hitherto, which is a small clipper ship heading south at a discounted price.
Great. There's going to be the best people on this ship.
You do see he also tries to offer a sizable coin pouch for Cecilia, but I bet Feng would respectfully or disrespectfully decline.
Disrespectfully.
I now need Feng to make me 3 Constitution saving throws.
What?
This is what you get for rolling a nat 20.
Yeah.
With disadvantage.
Oh my god. Okay. First con save. Hey, that's not bad. That's a 17.
Nice.
Okay. Second one is a 6. And third one is a 10. I feel like that's not bad for disadvantage.
That's not bad.
Our sweet and level-headed furbog has walked the land for many years, and as such has grown accustomed to the sway and movement of life, breathing in sync with the natural fluctuations. However, this zen was tested as the friar druid was tossed around on board for nearly 3 weeks of storms,
Holy shit.
swells, and sea monsters harassing the tiny ship as it makes its perilous voyage south.
Yeah, Feng probably goes through one bout of bad... What's sea turbulence called?
Seasickness?
Seasickness. No, but where the ship's like rocking around and he gets like thrown into the wall, and then like Cecilia lands on top of him and he's like, I'm never fucking traveling by the sea again.
Yeah.
I don't know what Lysandra was talking about, following some goddess of rain or some shit. Some god of thunder. This is the worst fucking thing ever.
With only Cecilia to keep Feng company in the cramped confines of the galley, Cecilia also incredibly unwell, hacking up large quantities of clear mucus into your lap periodically.
Gross.
Feng, you are relieved to finally reach your destination, which reminds you, where was it again?
I mean, Feng is technically meant to be on his way to the Hermitage area to go back to the Wildfire Circle, but Feng is taking absolutely every detour possible to take as long as he absolutely can.
Make a perception check for me.
Okay. 15.
A dynamic duo appears in the gloomy confines of a vast coastal cave. So deep, a whole community has set up away from the watchful eyes of patrolling airships. It appears dear Feng had bought passage on a smuggler's ship bound to the notorious pirate city, the Kraken's Grotto.
Sorry, what's it called?
The Kraken's Grotto.
Cool.
That's sick.
Oh no, Feng's going to join a cult.
Well,
Another one.
Feng, what do you do in this city?
Start a cult.
Yeah. What venue or person looks like they're pulling the biggest crowd?
You see that a lot of the spaces for the airships that would be here are empty.
Okay.
There are only really small pirate vessels around here, but you do see that there are several drinking establishments, a few vendors walking the boardwalk here, but it definitely feels like this place is at half or even quarter capacity.
Yeah, Feng will just think to himself and go, Oh, I know I've got to get to the Druid Circle, but this place looks like it needs to be explored. And, the Druids told me that I have to explore, other ways of living. So I'm just doing what they asked, right? And just detours into the first place you see.
Yeah, you see Feng, leading this ginormous floating manta ray, essentially. Is getting greasy looks from every single denizen of this debauched city. What does Feng get up to as you drink away the days in the Kraken's Grotto?
Yeah, Feng's doing anything he absolutely can. So he's trying a drink at every tavern. I'm sure he gets a fucking tattoo at some point. Does someone swindle him into getting a tattoo?
Yeah, roll me a d20, actually.
Roll for tattoo.
Roll for tattoo. 13.
13. You definitely withstand the virulent infection you would have otherwise contracted.
Die immediately.
But yeah, you definitely see this really jittery Kengu with early onset dementia and a really, really reckless abandon with the tattoo needle. What do you get? What tattoos?
Well, Feng got marked by Frida in the last episode.
Yes.
What does that mark look like?
It is essentially a burning flame in your forearm, and it has been harassing you this entire time.
And is it visible?
It's visible,
Okay.
but it's on your forearm, so you can kind of be discreet.
I am going to shave a patch of hair on my arm around this mark, and I'm going to try and get a tattoo to blend the mark in, but it just looks so stupid.
Like one of those puppet tattoos from your ex.
Absolutely. And I think he tries to do a mural, also paying a little bit of homage to Quig, and get a mural of some dragonflies around his forearm.
Now, be honest with me, Daniel. How long does Feng stay in this city? You have 3 months to get to Hermitage and back to Feldsparr. Are you getting out of there as quick as you
No,
can?
I reckon Feng spends a month there. Who does Feng make friends with? Feng wants to find a friend.
No, we're not doing that. You do definitely. You actually get a bit of a reputation. Give me just a general charisma check, Feng.
Okay.
Keep in mind these are pirates.
That's a 12.
12? Yeah, I mean, not many charismatic folks. It's usually just brute strength and who can stab who. So, you've definitely made quite a name for yourself in the city.
Yeah, he's definitely challenging every pirate he can to a drinking game or a game of Liar's Dice or...
Yeah, definitely really healthy outlets.
Yes.
Oh, totally.
Bartering with beans for secrets or other magical items that can help him in their quest against Yellen. Does anyone have any info on the church, on the Priory of Skye?
Ooh.
Give me an investigation check with advantage for the entire time that you're in the city.
Sick. That's a nat 20.
Shut up.
Nothing about the Priory of Skye or Yellen, but in the darkest corners, there is someone with a bigger reputation than you in this city.
That's not allowed.
Surely not possible.
And your chagrin is exponentially increased when you find out the name of this person as Holly.
What?
After a few months in the Kraken's Grotto, eventually, Feng, you leave the pirate city. The Order of the Eternal...
What? Hang on.
Would he leave after that?
You hear rumours, not of anything current or that she is here now, but she has a reputation in this city.
So she's been here recently?
Well, I don't know.
Potentially.
Not in the last couple of weeks, but yes.
Yeah, Feng's definitely going to store that info away for later, that maybe we can come here if we need some help. Or...
You do remember from Miss Miranda's that she was the kind of middleman for all of the black market dealings in the southern provinces of Cape Rin.
Do we remember any way that we could contact Holly in terms of did she have a specific symbol or something? I want to leave word to her about Quig.
Here in the city.
I'm just hoping to get that message to her in a way that no one else would find her. Is there any way that we would...
So I'm telling you now that Holly had a big reputation in this city.
Yeah.
She's not
going to come.
This was before she did everything in Laldred with you guys.
Okay.
But, no. She hasn't been there in a long time.
But I also know if Holly had a reputation in this city that she also was connected to the Thieves Guild in Feldspar, and so maybe that there's someone I can find who will be a potential connection later.
Of course.
So I guess, after all of that, he'll slowly make his way back to the Wildfire Circle.
Definitely, even getting into the Kraken's Grotto is a connection in and of itself, because this is a smuggler's city.
Okay.
It's not like traders are coming here willy-nilly. So the fact that you were able to survive in that city for an entire month really does give you some clout in the underworld.
Yeah, Feng cracks his knuckles as he walks out. He's like, that wasn't so hard. Probably got some bruises and some cuts on
So
him.
much red swelling. So much swelling.
His liver is like crying for help because he's probably drank every day for the last month.
Amen, brother.
even Promy's got a hangover.
Speaking of, the Order of the Eternal Flame was born out of the Great Cataclysm, whereby those who believe to have commanded the will of nature threw the world into imbalance. Fire and flame, while dangerous and devastating, are also the beating heart of life itself. In this epic struggle, wildfire druids commit to never again allowing nature to correct the stain of lethargy and greed. The circle houses a small flame, gifted to them in a time long ago by an ancient phoenix who was said to have flown away to the east, never to be seen again. Despite always feeling at home in the circle, Feng finds himself dragging his feet to the mountain where the Order sits, a few days' ride southwest of the city of Hermitage. As most of the harvest has been completed by now, you ride Cecilia along bare fields, stripped and covered to protect them from the fierce winter storms to come. The cool days bleed into ever colder nights, kept warm always by the fire of Promy and your thick furbog fur. After some time, you spy the complex of the Order of the Eternal Flame. A vast network of earthen huts and grass manses, woven together and accentuating over 50 communal fires, littered beneath the mountain like great glistening jewels. Moving through the bonfires, you notice the sheepish look of many of your kin, clad in simple leathers and red cloth, smoking meats, curing fish and pottery, as you pick your way between them. Some look at you with fear, others admiration and curiosity. Are you summoning Promy while you're doing this?
I think so, to be honest. I think Feng is honestly so scared about what's going to happen, and so Promy is very much a representation of him trying to get over those fears that there is nothing to hide for. You can't control how your wildfire spirit manifests. I can't, force Promy to go away, or I can't force the prophecy to not be true, so what's the point in hiding from this shit? Also very much on the lookout for Elizabeth and George from marketing.
Some do look at you, and especially with Promy on your shoulder, with fear. Others, admiration, curiosity. It seems rumours have spread like wildfire. No one stops you or bars your path, as by the creed of the Order, all are welcome to sit by the fire. Trotting the familiar path to the main fire, where the first phoenix is said to have rested before its great journey east, you see the familiar multicoloured roiling flame that kept you warm many a night as a child. Raised behind the eternal flame, cross-legged on a semicircular wooden platform, sits the Infernos of the Wildfire Druid, the wisest of their order and preceptors of the eternal flame. The familiar face of Hiraleia beams down at you. It seems she has been asked to join their ranks since you last met. The eldest of them, Krishna, an ageless fire genasi, withers down at you, his enormous wildfire spirit drake, nuzzling its enormous head into his lap, puffing out rings and ringlets of multicoloured smoke from his nostrils.
Terrifying, but so cool.
Out of the corner of your eye, the familiar, sneering face of Elizabeth. Your rival you impersonated in Lal Druid watches you with cautious skepticism.
I want to look at her like I know she's accidentally gone to a cult meeting, even though she doesn't know that happened.
After a while, you see the fire genasi, Krishna, addresses you. You have finally returned to us, Feng Fire Stealer.
Fuck. You're coming out of the gate swinging there, buddy, but I've been up to some things. I've met a lot of people as I was instructed. Yeah, I came as quick as I could. So, what's up?
Yes, Frida has done well to assure your cooperation. Before you might have done something more unfortunate.
What's that meant to mean?
You know the prophecy, Feng, just as everyone in this circle does, by heart at this point.
Well, I kind of only just heard about it because it seems to have been hidden from me before I went to Lullaby.
It was not hidden, it just never came to pass. We did not percept your coming in the flames.
So we only start worrying about things when they start happening instead of, trying to stop them from happening and being, preemptive and taking initiative like the whole circle was meant to do in the first place.
You see Krishna narrows his eyes at you and says, "Why, of course, Feng. But as you can see, foresight only goes so far. And where some of us stand and wish of things that could have been, we deal with things as they are. We are all aware of the risks of your coming, and as always, we will bear it together. We must now take steps to secure our future." And you see Hiralaya steps forward now and addresses you and says, "Feng, I don't know what to say. I feel elated. You have been endowed by purpose. It means I made the right decision by taking you in all those years ago. Don't throw it away, dearie. This is your home. We can keep you safe."
So are you asking me to come back?
You see Krishna nods and says, "As such, we just cannot in good conscience allow you to continue wandering the land, not knowing when or where your prophetic destiny might be fulfilled. We cannot unleash you onto Nua." You see Hiralaya sees your response to this, Feng, and says, Feng, this is a blessing. This is a sign from the circle. This is where you belong. You could rise here in respect and wisdom, and soon you could sit with me here. We could lead this circle into a new age with the flame of your phoenix behind you.
Feng's going to think for a moment and just probably allow his arms to kind of fall limp beside himself. Still holding on to the sun stuff I think that Hiralaya gave him in the first place. And probably just allow it to fall to the floor for a moment and look up towards Hiralaya and go, "I'd only be sitting there next to you if I do what you all want every single time. How are we meant to stop the cataclysm from happening again if we only follow one person's guidance?"
You see a few nervous looks are shot between the infernos of the druids, but Krishna raises a hand at the mutterings and says, "This is not my wisdom, this is the wisdom of the flame and the council that reads it. You are to stay here, where we can keep an eye on you and figure out our next steps. You are forbidden from leaving this place."
So the flames told you that I'm not allowed to leave.
Silence. Deafening silence.
I think Feng's going to ignore Krishna for now and turn to Hiralaya and say, "Did you see this in the flames?"
Feng, I saw you.
And what was happening?
You see she shoots a nervous look at Krishna, and Krishna reluctantly nods. "I saw pain, Feng. Excruciating pain. Not only in yourself, but what you might do unto others. You might not even mean to. But we cannot inflict this pain on the world. Not even the risk of it."
Feng just starts repeating in his mind that he's going to prove them wrong, and he's just going to turn his back and walk out.
You are prevented from leaving as several druids stand up to block your path.
Okay, Feng will go with them to whatever room they want to hold him in, and he's going to try and escape later.
You see they lead you to a large woven tent of reeds. You see, after a while, a few lesser druids bring you some clean water, some fruit, some meat. And Hiralaya comes and speaks to you in a moment, but it's almost like you're having the conversation through a fog because you've already committed. And she leaves you after a while as the sun begins to set, and you sit at the mouth of your tent as the twin moons begin to rise over the horizon, and the fire druids settle in to their nighttime rituals.
I think Feng would have summoned Promi when he could have, and just like sat down next to him and looked at him and said, I don't think you're going to bring about the end of this world, bud. I think we've seen some pretty cool stuff out there in the wider world of Nua, and I think that maybe our druid circle has lost its way, and maybe we need to do something to fix that.
How are you leaving this camp if you want to get out of there?
Is there a way that I can direct Cecilia to meet me somewhere? Because I've got something I might want to do.
Give me you've spent a lot of time with Cecilia, a lot of narrative time with Cecilia. I will let you roll a animal handling check with advantage.
Okay. It's a 14.
14. What are your instructions to Cecilia?
Okay, Cecilia, we are going to do something pretty crazy and pretty reckless, but no one is here to talk us out of it. So, I'm going to meet you at the exit of the city in 5 minutes. So just do your best to not get seen by anyone, and I'll meet you over there.
You see Cecilia takes way too long to comprehend what you are saying, and then slowly begins to...
Oh, I can't speak with animals! Run that all again, and I can't speak with animals.
Oh my god. You see as the glazed expression lifts from Cecilia's eyes into a momentary point of consciousness and understanding, she takes off through the city with her bell softly clinking. Feng, what are you doing?
How far is the Elder Flame, the Phoenix Flame, from where I am?
Oh shit. 150 feet from your tent.
Okay, to begin, I'm going to cast Pass Without Trace on myself and Promi, so we have a +10 to stealth, and I'm going to try and get within 60 feet of the flame.
Okay, roll me a stealth check.
It's a 29.
Great, that was just rolling by crit. Feng, how do you slip unnoticed through this city? You're not invisible.
No.
But how do you slip unnoticed?
I think Feng, in this moment, is driven by purpose for the first time in what feels like a long time. Probably spurred on a lot from seeing Lalo Druid fall into chaos, losing Quig, being separated from Louis and Lysandra, who he's really leaned on and trusted lately, and is almost just trying to do something to prove that he's not this destructive force, that he doesn't want to believe it himself. So he's doing something reckless to try and prove that that's not true.
You get within 60 feet of the eternal flame. You hug to the shadows cast by the bonfires, linger in the stacks of smoke that they generate. Your hood pulled over your furry complexion as to not draw attention, and you find yourself 60 feet away from the multicolored flame.
I'm going to kneel down to Promi, and I'm going to say, alrighty, bud, I'm going to try something. So I'm going to need you to go into this little lantern, this little lamp, and I'm going to maybe get something to help you make a bit of a nest. And then in that moment, I'm going to try and bonus action, hidden step, turn invisible, move 30 feet, dash 30 feet, 60 feet towards the Elder Flame, and take some into Promi's lamp.
I did say Promi's lantern was one of the few things that could hold the eternal flame, didn't I? Give me a sleight of hand check, please.
That's a 15.
I'm rolling for Krishna right now.
So no, the reason I'm turning invisible at that moment is because I don't want to see anyone. I don't want anyone to see me approaching the flame, and then I've got something to try and get away from the flame.
There's 11 on the dice. You see Feng as you move closer to this flame. I need another charisma saving throw from you.
Oh.
That's a nat one.
Oh no.
You get to the flame and you feel Promi begins to start preening himself and fluff himself out. He almost starts to do a little dust bath in the eternal flame, and there's getting it through his feathers. And in a moment where you're like, oh, that's cute, you just start to feel this surge of power and righteousness, almost pump through your veins as you transfer some of the eternal flame to your lantern. And with a nat 1, I have to honour the nat 1.
Yeah.
As you start to begin to move away, you start to hear that voice creep up again. The last time you heard it in Laldrud, this is not an external voice. This is your own internal righteousness here. And you hear it again. They don't deserve it. They can't even use it. Am I running away, or do I really want to start this again? And before you've even realised or made a decision, you look down and the lantern you have dropped on the ground.
I'll reach down to pick it up.
As you pick up the lantern, you see it still contains but a few embers had spread from the lantern onto the grass. And within seconds, tents, carts begin to catch aflame in these multi-fire. You see druids immediately start summoning their spirits to fight back the fires, wild shaping into burrowing and flying creatures to flee. And as you catch up to Cecilia, bucking and screaming at the edge of the city, you turn back and see a multicoloured inferno. As Feng, Fire Stealer, sets off once again.
Whoops.
Lysandra!
Fucking cold.
What? Prophecy fulfilled.
I mean, to be fair, they're wildfire druids. They should have some sort of contingency for this. They should have us a few buckets of water set up, ready to go.
Learn the control flame cantrip.
Yeah, settle out. It's a cantrip, guys.
Come on.
At a certain point, you gotta do...
Oh my gosh.
Okay, look.
Imagine setting a culture on fire and going, oops.
I didn't know what to do. I can't do it.
I'm not even setting a culture, your culture.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I don't know if he might not have left. It's hard to say. Like, he might have tried to help fight that, but I don't think he...
It wouldn't have destroyed
I don't think he
them.
can.
Yeah, they're wildfire druids. If they were, dried grass druids, then yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Taking the western road from Lal Udrud, retracing the path you took nearly a month ago in high summer, now with your new companion and charge, Professor Caressa of the Four Eyes. Taking the well-worn trail to the west, you navigate around the crest of the spine, coming down its western flank, high on the foothills and away from the dwindling wood. Lysandra, I need a stealth check and a survival check from you.
Oh, okay. Stealth is a 5. And you said survival? A 6.
I'm so sorry.
Typical star.
It wasn't that dice.
Yeah, I still feel bad.
While the crisp autumnal air gives way to brilliant sunsets and clear skies for the moons to dance, it soon becomes apparent that you are being pursued. Several merchants and traders in the rickety inns dotting the main road spoke of strange riders, clad in blue with extravagant head wraps, pursuing a four-horned tiefling, furbolg, and ageless woman. Their no-nonsense demeanour and wicked sharp steel have not gleaned them much information. And so every night, you and the professor are forced to hide your okapis and create distractions and diversions with your shadow, all in an effort to ward off your blind, nocturnal pursuers. Soon the screeches and howls rising from the dwindling wood become a comfort, as when the road falls silent you know you are not alone. After a month of dodging blood ravens and questions from the professor, we finally find our odd couple exhausted and weary in the inn of the river town of Bethu, nestled in the heart of the Spine Mountain Range. Bethu was constructed around an enormous spring, gushing from the roots of the mountain and feeding several rivers of Feldspar's Great Delta. The limestone caverns are carved by spring water, and the safety they provide turned the quaint town into the easternmost trading hub of Nua. Given its proximity to the Badlands, the dwindling wood, and the mountains, Bethu thrives off its constant trade of lumber, ore, and stone, using great river barges to transfer the goods to the ports of Feldspar. Built upon stilts and the safety above the spring water itself, Bethu boasts a vibrant culture on the water, where merchants trade mundane goods to far-off antiquities scavenged from the Badlands to the west. It is here that the professor has booked passage for herself and her old assistant on a river barge bound to the great spire of Feldspar. For a few days you rest, until one supper the professor returns from an errand carrying a large bundle wrapped in bone-white leather, placing it in the wooden booth next to her. Now, Lysandra, last chance before I leave tomorrow. Holly's ticket is still available. If you'd prefer safe travel to Feldsparr, we can go. Together, it will be fine.
Thank you very much, Professor, but like I've already said, I've got my own things to focus on, and I mean, I've helped you get this far.
Well, yes, I have to admit those men on the road I could have done without. What do they want with you?
Well,
Look, I never pushed questions too far with people, like Quig, and now he isn't here to answer any more of them, so I realise that behaviour is denying me the opportunity to know more about people. So I cannot hold my tongue any longer, and you must answer my questions.
you know that I haven't been that good at answering your questions, and I just kind of rattle on about different things. They might want me dead, potentially.
Well, I mean, I gathered that.
Okay, good. I'm glad you gathered that.
Just checking you.
Just, yeah.
Look, I'm fine. If you don't want to give up information, perhaps that's for the best. But I have a gift for you, I worry. On top of your payment, my associate here in Bethu, Professor Ibn, he's an expert in Sand Elf culture and history, and he purchased this from a merchant on the Western Dunes, but forgot he already had one of these on file in the archives, so I thought you should have it. At least protect you from these bad men. And she hands you the bundle of white leather.
Ooh, thank you very much.
When you open it, you see that this is a set of armour made from the sandsmiths deep within the old ruins in the east of the Badlands. This is what they clad their outlanders in to help ward off magical anomalies in the wasteland. You see the rings of folded steel inlaid with what appears to be different alloys and hues. It ripples and moves with the light, reminding you of a certain pair of dragonfly wings.
Come on!
The next day, the professor bids you farewell as she heads to the way station, and you the seldom travelled path on foot through the great marshes. Before long, the clean mountain air and tall pines have been replaced with a familiar smell of rot and decay, and pines give way to tall willows, their branches now bare and their leaves decaying in the soft earth underfoot. Every night the mountain looms further and further behind you as you delve into the place that you were raised. I will now allow you to give me either a survival or nature check to assist you in finding your old coven.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go with survival. That's a 17.
17! The Crescent Shadow has always remained one of the more elusive covens in Nuar, given they draw their power from their rituals largely in the confines of the Great Marshes. The Crescent Witches worship the primordial current of magic, believing that the connection is the strongest in the swamps. Many theorize the origin of this magic is evil or demonic, but the witches have always placed their motives to a higher order, to witness glimpses of truth held in the deep and dark places of the world. The witches often deter travellers from the western marches, but it is here that you now travel. As the sun begins to set on your second day, you look to the waning light, only to see your shadow, perched in the eaves of a great willow, urging you to follow.
Lysandra pauses, flashing back to the nightmares that she had in that, horrible, horrible fever, and hesitates, and then swiftly continues forward following the shadow.
As the night begins to set in and the last mayflies of the season begin to flit between pools of still water, you emerge from the dense shrubbery into a clearing of pale stones, wreathed by wooden huts jutting into the canopy of precarious stilts. An evening mist permeates this place as the moon begins to peek over the horizon, and just as you realise your shadow has disappeared, you are descended upon by the Crescent Witches. Maelsi, the Grand Elder of the Crescent Shadow, glides towards you, draped in black lamb's wool cloaks. Her dark hair is tied back into a high bun and surrounded by her acolytes and attendants, all hooded and barefoot, shooting uncomfortable looks at you, Lysandra. As the witch who raised you in infancy begins to speak, you start to see in your periphery more witches peeking from huts and canopies, curious to see Malcy's little runt who had run away all those years ago. Daughter, you have finally sought fit to return. Was the world everything you thought it would be?
Everything and more.
And so, if it has given you everything you asked for, why return here to me?
It has given me so many more questions.
You come for answers. And what exact answers by rights do I owe you, You are my daughter by right, not by choice. Do not forget that. The primordial current grants me to take what is mine and throw it aside, should I wish it. Had you stayed and obeyed, unlike your wretched mother before you, mayhaps I would reward your service with knowledge. This is why you are a cautionary tale to my initiates, my daughter, a lesson that anyone has the capacity to disappoint me.
So lucky that you didn't bring Feng or Louis here, because they absolutely would have.
You don't scare me. You think you can, but you don't. I've been scared by much worse. So tell me, who was she?
Lysandra was just as ambitious and stubborn as you, cloaked in a naivety that would seek pity from others while she would seek to supplant them. Last I heard from my former protege, she'd wed some lesser baron in Bientiorum. It seems she has at least found some form of contentedness for her insolence.
And was she like me, a demon?
No. Say what I will about Lysandra, but she was pure. Your father, however, I have not felt his stench here for a while. That is, until you have graced us with your presence, my daughter. Whatever you have been up to, I sense his hand in it. Duma was cunning enough to lure one of mine from me. Where he is even now, I cannot say. No matter how much I divine and imbibe the dark, he eludes me, not your mother.
So he was not originally from here then?
Not from what Lysandra told me, but he did shower her with gifts. I have not travelled to the Spire City in a century, but I know the artisanal work of its metalsmiths there. Whatever trinkets he gave, he acquired them in the commercial district of Feldspar. That is all I know, child, regardless. Whether I like it or not, your mother's blood flows in your veins. You have the capacity to inquire the dark as much as I. Consult the stones, they may have more to say than I, though your treachery and pride in returning here without an offering does not hold you in good stead, my daughter. The moon dips behind the willows, and the shadows and light dance across the crescent henge in the middle of the coven. The space around you falls silent, and the many gazes of the witches seem to disappear. How does Lysandra commune with the crescent?
Lysandra is taking it all in very sort of wide-eyed, really trying to be confident in her decision to come here and not be scared off after all the fear that she's felt. She has this overwhelming sense of guilt nagging at her, and I think she does what Malcy tells her to do. She goes and she finds the right spot and thinks about how Feng would commune with nature, and she sits down, cross-legged, closes her eyes, and puts her mind out into the space around her.
After a while, you look up from your meditation, and the sounds of the swamp disappear. You sit on the cliffs to the north of Feldspar, looking out to the vast sea to the east, endless and churning. Your sword begins to shake uncontrollably in your scabbard, bombarding you with the rackus of rattling bone.
Lysandra's going to pull the sword out of its scabbard and hold it out in front of her.
A voice, warm and uncannily familiar. Daughter, this is a surprise. For so long I've been calling for so long, but how? How can you hear me, my bird, my doll? Why now?
Who are you?
Sweetling, come east. Come east and rescue me from my shackles. There is a map in Feldspar. It will lead you to me. In the Jarl's Keep, take the sword. It can help you. It will help you. For I cannot.
The fuck?
What do you mean you cannot? You cannot help me?
Yes, I am trapped here, forbidden to ever enter Nua again, and I've been trying to send you signs. Have you not been seeing them?
The owl?
Yes, the owl, the doll, everything.
The visions?
I cannot speak to any vision, but you have to help me. I don't know how much time I've got left. You have to come east, as far as east will go. Rescue me.
What's in it for me?
And the sword begins to glow hot in your hands. And you gain a level of Hexblade Warlock.
What?
Alright, we'll switch around. Gentle sheets of rain caress the moors of Cape Cavendrel, washing away the salt spray of the nearby sea and coating the long grasses in a glistening sheen. The sun, ever determined, peeks through the stormy grey clouds, casting shadows and refracting light onto the undulating terrain. Like a giant insect, a procession of domed carts, thatched with reeds and grasses, trundles along the muddy donkey trail, taken only by merchants who know of the secret path. With the far-off spire of Cape Rin twinkling in the bay like a white needle rising from a writhing cloth of grey. The procession groans to a halt beneath the swaying eaves of a lone grove of Wallamai pines. Arranging the carts into a circular pattern, garbed small folk dart between them with taut ropes and hoist large reed mats, leaping into the eaves to unfurl a large tent and shelter from the rain. Finally, a small hole is arranged at the peak of the dome, and before long a thick curl of white smoke begins to rise amongst the eaves of the pines, disappearing on the wind. Entering into the common area, we see the space transformed. Thick woven carpets of reeds have been spread on the ground, sporting plush rugs and cushions where a plethora of cooped-up harengen begin to stretch and relax from a long cooped-up ride. The small folk pulling the carts cast down their hoods, revealing long, delicate ears, while a little dishevelled from the journey, still intricately maintained and decorated with tattoos and piercings. Harengen of every colour, from sooty black to snow white and calico, chatter eagerly with each other, singing songs and laughing as the smells and smoke from the central cooking hearth permeate the air. On a cleared space of earth, a small fire has been set, already roaring and smouldering, the sounds of food being prepared in a whirl of bluster and smoke, from one uniquely different from this colony of conies. Denis, would you please describe your character for us and what he is doing at this moment?
Denis is probably sitting as close to the fire as possible, like in that sort of like bent over your computer kind of way, just like basically in the pot, but cauldron looking thing, and is just kind of adding every ingredient that he can find, sort of even maybe gesturing sort of like scalpel, but carrots and something, trying to get things from other people.
Yeah, you do see a lot of the younger children who are beguiled with your presence and having a goblin in their camp for once, do very quickly heed all of your requests, bringing you spice jars that are three times their size, as the elder harengen seem to watch over them. Can you describe what Denny looks like for us?
Yes, Denny's a hobgoblin, so it's like mostly greenish, yellowish kind of skin with some lighter patches of vitiligo. Vitiligo, is that how it's pronounced? Is sort of darting across his face and hands. Has these black eyes with the irises themselves being like orange and almost slit-like, very animalistic. has like almost protruding tusks or fangs, like not full orc, but sort of just in a weird animalistic spot in between, with like blue tufts of hair sticking out the top of his head, a bit matted down, and just the wispiest facial hair you've ever seen. This is a uni student trying a new look. This is doing his best.
Been there.
We've all been there, you know.
You see two of the smaller Harengon seem to be taken with you and start to harass your work. You see one is a tiny calico with enormous ears and feet, almost walking clumsily upon them. You know this small Harengon to be named Winks, and you see another sooty grey Harengon with a patch over one eye and a chunk missing from an ear, and you know this Harengon is called Luca, and you see Luca is kind of like pulling Winks back as he tries to get closer to the hearth, and you see Winks like wipes his face and wipes back his ears and says, Mr. Danny? Mrs. Danny, was it? Lucas doesn't believe me. He's calling you a liar. You are Magic Man, are you not?
No,
A magic man? A wizard?
Well, you know, it is not particularly. I would not go so far as to suggest that I am a wizard, but and then I think he's just gonna like cast like a quick like fireball or something. Just firebolt with a T, just like I just meant a can, just like a cantrip, just something, just small and slight. I'm just gonna look at what. Sorry, I meant firebolt with a
Rabbits
T.
on fire, fleeing attention.
Actually, can I instead use? I've sort of reflavored some of the spells just for like flavor sense, but can I like cast Spare the Dying, even though it won't do anything, but just like as like you just manipulating the waft of soup to kind of like sort of make these interesting shapes and almost images in the air, just like I am not a wizard, I have no ability to do magic, actively doing magic sort of around. I do not know why they are passing these rumors around.
Give me a chef's tools check, please.
Absolutely.
And with your magic pot, that's a +3 to your proficiency bonus.
Excellent. And what in terms of like what I'm adding to that, is that dexterity or
It's just,
is anything?
it's just your proficiency bonus that you add to your...
Perfect.
Yeah.
No worries. So 15 on the die for 18 total?
Dirty 20.
Is it dirty 20?
Because you're plussing 2 for your proficiency bonus and then 3 for your pot.
Oh, 2. Yeah, okay, I'm with it now. So yeah, a disgusting 20.
So, keeping in mind your clientele, Denny, what do you prepare after a long day's journey for these rabbits?
I think it's like it is a pea and ham soup, but with no ham whatsoever. Like it's all I think Denny knows mostly how to make very simple dishes, and so he's trying to take away stuff from the things he does currently know. He's like, what is it that would work for the rabbits? No, we cannot do lamb shanks. It is the meatballs.
I'm just picturing Cornelius Fudge from Prisoner of Azkaban. Pea soup!
Simply pea soup.
You see... Denny moves like a blur in this moment, and the eyes of these Harengon children just go wide as it's a flurry of movement, almost in the sense where artists experience flow state, where they kind of go into this subconscious kind of doing of the thing, and after a while you see a piping hot bowl of pea soup. It's just so thick with like chunks of oregano and different herbs in there. Perhaps even Denny would have skimped for some clotted cream or something over the top. And you see, I'm going to give a roll for the Harengon as they start to pass out these bowls. 18, 15. You see some of the older Harengon sniff it a little bit, like, cautiously. But you see the younger Harengon love your recipes. And you see Wink says, see, I knew it. I always wanted to be a wizard when I was small. Well, smaller. But Uncle Tony says there's no coney wizards save for their magical experiments. But you are a wizard, yeah?
It is a wizard of sorts, you know. I do not like to put labels on these kind of things. You know, I'm a cook, a wizard, a rogue, you know, all sorts of things.
Oh, but you've never experimented on rabbits, have you?
No, I would never. Of course, I would never cook the rabbits.
Give me a history check and a deception check.
I have a +4 to history and a -2 to deception.
Oh my god.
So let's resolve the history first. 14 on the... Yeah, +4. So 18 for the history. And then just...
Oh no.
I've been so excited for these charisma rolls. That's a 15 on the dice, so 13.
Denny, you recall to the numerous occasions cutting open rabbit cadavers in the Starlit Conservatory, as well as the Cape Rin Polytechnic.
I do not remember cooking any of the rabbits. None of the delicious. No, I would not. No, of course not.
You see the Harrigan pair shoot each other a nervous look before Winks dissociates again and looks at your tattoo and says, "Oh, what does hob for gob mean?"
I think perhaps you had better ask your mother that. That is not a question for the local line cook.
You see the sooty grey Harrigan stamps Winks on the foot and says, "Hush down, Winksy, before the goblin bakes you into a pie."
Yes, I will go to eat you.
And you see Winks shrieks and carries off. But Luca is a little bit more bedraggled and kind of a little bit wiry, stands his ground and says, "What business do you have in the Spire City? You know there aren't many goblins there, right? But I suppose you are kind of like big for a goblin. Big-ish."
You are big for a rabbit. Do you think so? It's wood of you. Well, you know, it is, there's always work for a cook going around, and perhaps I'm looking for a change of scenery. But, you know, it is not all, I do not enjoy staying still in one place. I'm sure you understand this certain wanderlust.
You see glass eyes over Luca as he's like taking in, and he nods enthusiastically at your response and says, "Oh, so you just cook, that's it."
I cook, I clean, I sing with my heart's content.
Oh, sing us a song! And you see all of the other Harrigan begin to cheer in unison and clap their hands and start to bring out fiddles and pipes. How does Denny take the stage?
I think Denny just starts. Denny needs no intro.
There's a few bars where they're trying to catch up to your tempo and establish a rhythm.
While they're still setting up, he's just powering through.
I think there's a moment where he goes, "Oh, me?" Then just jumps straight into a song. It is a goblin box cooking the soup of the goblins, and we love to gobble the goblin soup. Peas and carrots and not wabbits love to gobble the goblin soup.
After a while, the soothing, monotonous patter of the rain on reeds begins to wane and clear. And after a while, as the deluge turns to drips, the Harrigan caravan begins the laborious task of shaking off the reed mats and rolling back the roof and affixing it to the multiple carts. Patches of gleaming sun welcome the travellers into the Great Delta, fringed in a vast mat of great mangroves. In the bay itself, the spire of Feldspar continues to jut defiantly into the sky, beckoning adventure and mystery to all those who follow the trade and wealth of the realm. And that is where we will end our session.
Wow!
Incredible.
Oh my god!
I loved getting to see so much of the continent.
Yeah.
4 different cities, basically.
Like a little anthology episode.
Yeah.
Didn't I say in that Q&A that the one place I wanted to visit was Kraken's Grove?
Yeah, it was too.
Oh my god!
Someone doesn't listen to the Q&A.
Love pirates, as a... Oh, so cool.
So at the start of the episode, we kind of teased Oscar to the audience, but now we would like the opportunity to fully introduce you. So Oscar, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and TTRPGs and how you came about to be in this process?
Hi everyone, I'm Oscar, he, him pronouns. I got into TTRPGs probably late 2020, not late 2020s, late 2010s, so like 2019, and then just I get into it the same way that you always do. You get into D20, you get into Critical Role, and then from there eventually built up enough confidence to go down to a games workshop.
Yep.
Shattered my confidence, built up enough confidence. No, and if Greg is listening, please don't feel badly of me, Greg. I didn't mean that. I'm a musician in my spare time. I work for a trivia company some of the time. Lots of performer jobs. My background's in musical theatre, so kind of always been involved in the performing space and never really knew what TTRPGs were, but then, fell in love with a couple of really good shows and just, it felt like a really natural fit for me.
And what about Denny? Let's talk about more.
Denny is perhaps the greatest character ever to be put to paper.
Do you know what? From that short snippet, I would agree.
Denny is I can't do car rides anymore because I talk as Denny in a car. He's a rogue artificer multi-class is sort of the crunchy part of it, but the whole idea is that he's a cook and he loves to cook, and all of his spells and various things that the character can accomplish is largely based around being a cook and kitchen utensils and that kind of all that fun stuff. So a lot of fun spatula puns to come.
And we love playing a hobgoblin.
We love playing a hobgoblin, of course. Because I'm just barbarian coded IRL. So I want to be like little weird guys and stuff when I play TTRPGs. So hobgoblin is I'm so excited. I love it.
Well, wonderful. As always, at the end of our episodes, we end with a selfless plug. Does anyone have a selfless plug today they would like to share?
Oscar, you're up. It's your first episode.
Yeah, you sent a thing the other day that was saying, like, just use the one that was in your in your application.
Yeah,
and that one was for Marcus Bontempelli to win the Brownlow Medal, which there was a fucking robbery. Who would I shout out? Not just keep the footy thing along. The Western Bulldogs AFLW team has. We're a really young team this year, so there were no expectations, but we've won 2 in a row, which I think is pretty good. Were they against also shit teams? Sure. But, hey, you know what? Win's a win is a win is a win. Good on the girls. I guess the AFLW...
This one's for the girls. This one's for the one.
Male-dominated sport.
I was so ready. As soon as I knew your selfless plug was going to be sport, I was going to be like, boo, sport. But I don't think I can do that to the women's team.
Wow.
It really fucked me up.
Wow.
A new revelation this episode is that Daniel doesn't like the WAFL.
Daniel hates women.
Yeah.
Well, I am gay, so...
It's like it's not that side of the table.
You can't get much more manly than women. Oh my god, that is awful. Well,
on that note,
we're cancelled. As always, don't forget to follow us on our Instagram page at Down Under Dungeon Podcast, and don't forget to tag us in any of your fan art. As always, please follow us and look out for new episodes on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And hey, if you're feeling friendly, please leave us a 5-star review, and we will see you next week.
see you there.
Bye.
Bye for now.